Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing with South Texas News and Reviews. Today is Sunday, December 28th, 2014. We're running out of 2014 quickly. Just want to make sure I get enough of the banner on the front of this to satisfy everyone. And I'll be right back with the news for you. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go take my seat and get this thing started. As I said, this is a one-man show that I have to do, and what I'm going to do is start with an article that I found very interesting, and tonight I'm going to dedicate this show actually to the fine folks up there that are suffering at Coastal Bend College. Okay, there's been some happenings up there over the last year that have just been gut-wrenching to me, and I do know that the fine folks up there have some real deep problems, and I'm going to see if I can't help alleviate some of those. So all you fine folks up there on faculty and staff at Coastal Bend College, this one's for you. So I'm going to start and by reading something that is directly associated with this. This came out today in the Corpus Christi Caller-Times. It's from the Associated Press, and it says, State Hiring Analysis. Perry aides get plum jobs. Choices may violate law, analysis says. This is out of Austin. It says about 200 people who have landed state government jobs that can pay well into six figures have avoided normal job posting requirements or scrutiny and share the common tie that they all once worked for outgoing Governor Rick Perry, the Austin American-Statesman reported Saturday. That was yesterday. An analysis by the newspaper shows some of the hirings may have violated state law. Well, that's a big surprise to me. Others took advantage of a position that allows regular hiring rules to be sidestepped. The posts include agency spokespeople, mid-level managers, and even directors. On November 5th, the day after the general election, the Texas Railroad Commission posted a new job opening for communications director paying up to $115,000. I guess it should be per year. Okay. Applicants had 1 day to respond and 10 did. Okay. Perry spokesman Rich Parsons got the job, hired by the agency's director, also a Perry appointee. Okay. It was an honor and privilege to serve Governor Perry in his historic administration, Parsons told the newspaper. I'm deeply grateful to the Railroad Commission for the opportunity to continue in public service for the people of Texas and an agency so vital to protecting the public, our natural resources, and our economic success. I hope you can see the irony in that one, folks. Okay? Directors at the Parks and Wildlife Department, the Health and Human Services Commission, and the State Water Board, among other agencies, are former Perry people. Another big surprise. John Fainter, Chief of Staff for Governor Ann Richards, said the jobs can be a reward for loyalty. Yeah, they can, and that's what I'm going to discuss this evening, folks. This is called nepotism. The bigger problem is, are taking positions that could be filled by people who have worked their way up, said Becky Model, a former general manager for the Lower Colorado River Authority who now runs a consulting firm. State law requires any agency that has an opening for which persons from outside the agency will be considered shall list the openings with the Texas Workforce Commission. But the newspaper's review shows state agencies frequently don't comply and don't open the jobs for competition. According to the newspaper, that's what happens with the Health and Human Services Commission's hiring of Casey Haney, Jessica Olson, and Jay Kimbrough to jobs that pay more than $130,000 annually. Haney and Olson were Perry budget and policy aides. Kimbrough was Perry's chief of staff. We selected highly qualified individuals for new jobs where the person needed to hit the ground running, Commission spokesman Stephanie Goodman said. While our selections were good, our process was not. Over the past 2 years, the Texas Water Development Board has hired at least 7 former employees from Perry's office. 6 of the jobs weren't posted. Agency spokeswoman Mary Clonauer, I guess it is, said the people were hired during a legislative ordered reorganization, meaning the board could bypass the usual process. Larry Leon, who teaches public administration at the LBJ School of Public Affairs at the University of Texas, said the effect is an agency penetrated by cronies of the powerful, and that can affect the quality with which laws are enforced and the allocation for enforcement. Okay? Well, there you go, plum jobs, folks. Okay? It's all the good old boy system. Now, how about the people who were mostly and completely qualified to take those jobs, yet they weren't privileged enough, I guess is the term used, to work for Governor Perry and some of his cronies? Okay? Folks, as a taxpayer, this ought to just burn you up, okay? There ought to be a public outcry with such crap that goes on like this. And I know I shouldn't be saying certain terms, but this really just perturbs me deeply and makes me mad as hell, okay? So I've met some of Mr. Perry's appointees. There was a guy, Dr. Shaw, that was on the Texas Environmental Protection Agency here in the state, the TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and that guy was a crony out of A&M University up there at College Station, and he was one that if they wanted to have Las Brisas Energy Center into this town to pollute and kill people, and to run asthma allergy rates up into the stratosphere somewhere, then Dr. Shaw would have been one that would do that. And I think he's still on the TCEQ board. And then there were 2 other appointees from Perry, one of which has moved on to another plum job somewhere. Okay, well, I promised this would be a discussion about nepotism. Now, it runs and reigns supreme and rampant at Coastal Bend College as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'm not an attorney, don't profess to be, don't ever want to be. If people like some of these other people around, politicians and stuff, that are attorneys go, then most of them think counter to what I do. Okay. Now, I do have some friends that are attorneys, and they do what they're supposed to do as an attorney, but the vast majority of them, folks, I wouldn't give you a plug nickel for any of them. And if you talk about cronyism supreme, that runs rampant within the ranks of the attorneys around town, and that goes hand in hand, ties very well into different businesses like banks, and then you've got the whole real estate cartel known as the City Council of the city of Corpus Christi, Texas. Okay, now, what I'm talking about is a term called nepotism. Okay, so if you go into the dictionary and you read the explanation of what nepotism means, it is favoritism as in appointment to a job based on kinship. Okay, now let's take and look up kinship. Okay, what that means is the quality or state of being kin. And then if you look up kin, K-I-N, it says a group of persons of common ancestry. Okay. Now, there are laws in this state against nepotism, folks, and the reason for that is just like Perry's group over here. They're keeping good people out of jobs just because they worked and were, quote, dedicated to Mr. Perry. I just wish Mr. Perry was as dedicated to the taxpayers as he was to his buddies in business and the rest of this stuff. The man's, as far as I'm concerned, a shyster. Okay, I'm being kind. Okay, now, so that's what nepotism is all about. So I've looked up some of this other stuff in reference to nepotism, and I want to enlighten you. And particularly among educational institutions like state-supported and taxpayer-associated these groups like CCISD and the other ISDs around the state, and then you run into the community college-based positions where you have taxpayers' money paying people off to go over there and run a community college or a four-year college or you know, a big institution like A&M and this A&M system, University of Texas system, and so forth and so on, and other state supported and paid for by taxpayers institutions of higher education. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into this. This is from the Texas Association of School Boards, of their legal services. And it says, please note that a law passed in 2007 changed how the nepotism laws affect hiring in large districts. These changes apply to all hires made after September 1, 2007. This document describes the nepotism laws currently in place. So here's the question: what is nepotism? A public official may not appoint, confirm the appointment of, or vote for the appointment or confirmation of the appointment of an individual to a position that is to be directly or indirectly compensated from public funds if the individual is related to the public official or another member of the board by blood, okay, and within the third degree, or by marriage, which is affinity, within the second degree, okay? School district officials who have the power to appoint or employ these persons are subject to the nepotism rules, okay? Now, since attorneys are involved with this, ladies and gentlemen, I have a tough time because I've read through hundreds of these legal opinions from the Texas State Attorney General, okay, the Office of the Attorney General, and they vary. So, you know, it's like they pick and choose what they want to do, and they bob and weave and so forth and so on to accommodate, I guess, you know, people like Perry's people here. And it's really frightening and makes me kind of sick to my stomach to see that happen. Okay, now, which relatives by blood are affected by the nepotism prohibition? Relatives within the third degree, an individual is related to the public official by blood within the third degree if the public official is the individuals. Okay, now I consider the president of Coastal Bend College to be a public official. Okay, they're paid for by the taxpayers. Okay. And even more so, public officials are board members up there that the tax-paying citizens of that Coastal Bend College District and Del Mar College District down here vote in Board of Trustees members, or Board of Regents is what they call them here in the Del Mar College District here in Corpus Christi. Okay, but there's the different degrees. Okay, now number one, parent or child, that's the first degree. Okay, second degree is grandparent, grandchild, sister, or brother. That's the second degree, and then the third would be a great-grandparent, great-grandchild, aunt, uncle, niece, or nephew. That's the third degree. So if they fall anywhere within those groups, they're prohibited from hiring those people to work for them. Okay, if they are publicly funded in their salaries, and so are the relatives. Okay, all right. And then it goes on for marriage, okay? Who is considered a public official? And see, this is where it gets to be, as the British say, a bit of a sticky wicket, okay? A relationship, wait a minute, okay. For nepotism purposes, a public official of the school district is a member of the school board or an officer of the school district. Okay, depending on the county population and your district's delegation of hiring authority, see below, the term public official could include school board trustees, superintendents, and sometimes both. Well, I would think that the president of the Coastal Bend College up there is at least a superintendent grade individual. Okay, a superintendent is a public official for purposes of nepotism if he or she has the final hiring authority for the employee or the employment position. The Texas Education Code permits a school board to delegate some or all of its hiring authority to the superintendent. Commonly, this delegation of hiring authority is limited to at-will employees. Okay? All right, and then it goes on from there. Now, what I don't appreciate, folks, is we have these rules, and I've seen this in play here in Corpus Christi, Texas before. There was a woman who was married to a dentist. The dentist was a Board of Trustees member at Del Mar College, okay, elected official. And back in March 2006, I remember when this happened, Carlos Valdez, my buddy in the sky, the one that still can't read a contract, particularly demolition contract, and when he was the city attorney, said that none of you fine taxpayers out there had any vested interest in any contract that the city made with anyone. Okay, that make you feel good? Where does that put you, taxpayers? Okay, but anyway, this was an opinion rendered, and what the whole thing was, it's about 4 or 5, 6 pages from the Attorney General's office, and the bottom line was that the Attorney General did hold that, since that person that wanted an adjunct position over in the nursing department as an adjunct professor, instructor actually, then they couldn't hire that person because her husband was on the board of the Del Mar College Board of Regents. Okay, he was a member of that board. So that negated that one. Okay. Now, I have a problem at Coastal Bend by virtue of the fact that I have sat through several of their board meetings up there, and I have noticed that the president of Coastal Bend College seems to be the person running the whole show up there. Okay, I have never in my life, and I've seen some weak Board of Regents members at Del Mar College, folks, over the years I've been here, and we still have some down there that still need to spine up and do the right thing and start listening to the taxpayers instead of just an administration as they eat a free lunch over here at Del Mar College. Okay, and you know, prance around town and get their picture taken every once in a while at some meeting, and oh, I'm a board member on the Del Mar College Board of Regents. Well, big whoopee, folks. Why don't you get busy, most of you, and get something done and pay attention? You've got the whole financial system over there falling down around your ears, and I'm going to discuss that in a little bit, but let me get back to Coastal Bend. I've had enough of this with Coastal Bend College. I am a reporter, and I am a seasoned professor of microbiology and chemistry at Del Mar College. I spent a lot of years in private research, pharmaceutical research business, so I usually am considered to, by most people, know what I'm talking about. Okay, but it just burns me up when I see a place like Coastal Bend College. Now, number one, I want to state up front that at that place they have no tenure system. Now, a tenure system is where you work a certain number of years and then you gain that term and designation as being tenured, which means it's going to take a pretty severe breach of honesty or whatever to have you removed from the classroom and from your job at Del Mar College. Okay, and it's one of the reasons I hired on here as a tenure policy. If you're year to year, then it's just too easy to accept a job, and then if somebody just doesn't like you, which is my case at Del Mar College, then they can just up and get rid of you, just non-renew your contract. But at Coastal Bend College, they have that system, 1-year contract, and a lack of tenure. So people aren't very secure with that, and you know, it's caused some real problems and headaches up there with some very fine faculty members and other workers, folks. And it's not just a problem with faculty, although that's the biggest one I see up there. It's been total turmoil. So what I've done is I have asked for, through Mr. Jose Aliseda, I think that's the way you'd pronounce that, A-L-I-S-E-D-A. He's the district attorney, and he's up there on St. Mary's Street in Beeville, Texas. So what I've done is, by the time this airs, and it even goes on YouTube, Tomorrow on the 29th, I'm going to hand deliver this up to the District Attorney's Office, and it is my request for an investigation of the possibility that a violation of Section 573 of the Texas Government Code concerning Texas nepotism laws. Okay, I have attached documents supporting my conclusions that, I'm not going to name names, the president of Coastal Bend College violated the code when she hired her sister, and I named her as the Dean of Workforce, Coastal Bend College, Beeville, Texas. Okay, and then I think that since that hiring was done directly by the Board of Trustees, then as far as the president goes, and then the president hires her sister, which is in direct conflict through the attorneys over here with not only the Attorney General's office, but you know, the Texas Association of Schools and all that good stuff. That something needs to be done and looked into, particularly when Dr. President up there was the lead person in the hiring process and interviewing and so forth and so on of her sister. I've seen that paperwork, folks. Now, let me back up just a hair. It hasn't been all that many months ago when I found out that a friend of mine and former faculty member, an acquaintance from Delmar College, had been fired from Coastal Bend College. Okay, just plain flat fired. And I went through all the hearings up there for that, and I was very involved in that and very concerned for my friend, because she's one of the best nursing instructors I've ever met. Okay, and then there was another one here in town that went through the same fate with Delmar, which I've discussed before. Okay, now when I'd go up there to listen to all this blather, then I have never seen such chaos and turmoil on a board of trustees or regents in my entire life. Those people had no idea what they were talking about. All they did was took the information that was provided by the president of Coastal Bend College and ran with that erroneous information. Okay? Now, there are double standards up there too that I've found out about. So what I did was I wrote a Public Information Act request of Coastal Bend College, and I said I want to see all of the hiring paperwork and so forth, which is public record, for not only the president when she was selected up there, and I wanted to see the ads, I wanted to see any documents that were there on her screening and hiring committees and so forth and so on. And then in particular I wanted to see all of the same information about the president's sister. Now, I looked at the qualifications of a lot of people that had applied for that job, and they were superior to what I found and saw in the sister's background, educational and so forth. There were PhDs, folks, with experience that had applied for that deanship of workforce, and they didn't make it. Okay? Now, I also noticed that in the paperwork, the president up there was one of the participants in that screening and hiring committee, and she's the one that made the recommendation to the Board of Trustees to hire her sister. Okay? Now, I think that qualifies under nepotism unless those slick attorneys up there, and I know both of them at Coastal Bend. Okay? I've had experience with both of them before. But they'll try to get this thing resolved and say, oh, well, you know, she had full right to do that. Well, as a taxpayer, folks, and you people up there in Beeville and that surrounding area, and then also up at Pleasanton, since you're supporting Coastal Bend College nursing program up there, and then Alice, and then in Kingsville, then I think you need to pay real close attention to what's been going on underneath your nose. Now, after that Dean of Workforce was hired, that's when a lot of people resigned from positions, both faculty and staff at Coastal Bend College. A lot of them were told that they didn't have the qualifications to do what they were going to do. And one of the saddest excuses for getting rid of someone who would stand up to you and say, hey, you know, we're going to do the right thing here, which was that friend of mine, the PhD nurse, then, you know, The nurse was fired because she also has a certification in family, as a family practitioner, okay, nurse practitioner. And it takes 2 days per month in a clinic with actual hands-on experience in order to maintain that certification. You have to turn that in on an annual basis and say, okay, I worked two full days in a clinic, where, when, and how here, and I kept up to date with all the latest practices and so forth to keep that certification going. Now, a family nurse practitioner certification adds an awful lot to this woman's job when she was hired, which was the director of the nursing program, nursing education at Coastal Bend. So she spent a lot of time driving around between Pleasanton, Beeville, Kingsville, and Alice, keeping things straight. Worked way over a minimum number of hours it takes to run a job like that, and all these community colleges are trying to get the faculty there 40 hours a week. I'd love to do that, folks. That would reduce my workload by about 50%, okay, for what I have to do on weekends and holidays and so forth. But anyway, okay, let me get back to the what happened. The dean of workforce got crossways with this faculty member, okay, the director of the nursing program, and then started the business about, well, you were paid by the clinics for those 2 days that you worked per month, okay? Now, it was part of her contract. I can read a contract too, and I saw it in the beginning that she was allowed to do that, okay? And with their blessings. Then all of a sudden, it was a way to try to get rid of that faculty member for whatever reasons they had. I can't imagine it because she's one of the most pleasant people I've ever met, okay? And I know she's an excellent person as far as her professionalism in the classroom goes, because she was here at Del Mar for quite some time. All right, now, so they went ahead and said that she was double dipping, and she could either pay the money back or get fired. Now, that's not fair, folks. That's far from being fair. And that started a firestorm of people up there, and I went to all those hearings and so forth. And then, even with 2 new board members and another one that was there, an older one that says, hey, you know, wait a minute, whoa, you know, it wasn't specifically stated in here in her contract that she had to pay that back, and that she could not gain compensation for her time at that clinic to keep her certificate up, which only benefits Coastal Bend College and all of our nursing students and programs. Okay, so they went ahead and fired her anyway. So I went and looked at a bunch of the information through Public Information Act request on hiring and other people up there. Now, I do know that there are certain people up there on faculty who are professionals in other fields. I think one of them is in the law business. And I have been told, and I'm going to confirm this, it's not hearsay, I can confirm it, that notes were left on that person's door when that person couldn't make the lecture and class time because that person was out working a full-time job with one of the local law enforcement agencies, okay? And then there have been some other instances where people have worked for hospitals and were teaching and, you know, so forth and so on. So I don't know why they singled that director of nursing out, but it stinks, folks. Well, as the dean of workforce, she also is the one that evaluates faculty members. Now, she's not a faculty member, folks. She's never been a faculty member as far as I could tell from her background. And certainly she's not a doctoral level individual that could sit down and evaluate whether a PhD nurse with family practice certifications and so forth and so on, the family nurse practitioners and so forth. How do you evaluate that person? Okay, and then to trump up these charges, as far as I'm concerned, to get rid of her just because you don't like her and that maybe she, doesn't agree with you on all things over there, then we'll just go ahead and have the Dean of Workforce write her up, and then have their sister, the president, back her up, take it to the board, and convince that board. And I can't believe you're so foolish to believe anything that that president has to tell you, okay? But, so they terminated her. And now, we're going through some legalese and legal battles up there. And I've seen them say that, well, you don't have credentials after teaching this class for 20 years, and we don't like you very much, so we're just going to get rid of you. And, I've seen a lot of people either resign up there or lose their position as faculty members. And it's a crime, folks, okay? As far as I'm concerned, neither one of those, the president up there or the Dean of Work, professional educators, and know what they're doing, okay? But this nepotism has got to stop. So I've requested through the district attorney there in B County, or Beeville, must be B County and some others around there, I'm sure. I'm going to hand deliver this to him tomorrow morning. Like I say, this will air several days after that fact, so I'm not divulging anything sinister or whatever. And then I've also, in addition to this, I've asked the Attorney General of the state of Texas to investigate this, since they have a set of nepotism laws and regulations also. And then I believe that another vested interest would be the state auditor's office, so I've had the same request of them. And I told them that I will be more than happy to provide a CD containing the photographs of all that paperwork that I went through with those files and so forth. Probably 100 to 200 photographs of different pages that show the direct involvement of the president in the hiring of her sister as the Dean of Workforce at Coastal Bend. And if that's not nepotism, then I think I'm going to give up. I'm going to go to law school and then go sit up there and force this stuff through back into a sane situation with the local district attorneys and the auditor's office and the Attorney General's office. So, and then I told them I've personally witnessed some of the turmoil and stuff up there. So I'm going to request that that be kicked off. They say that I can remain anonymous if I wanted to do this. I don't think I need to remain anonymous, folks. I don't have too much in this life to fear except letting my friends down and family members, and I'm not about to do that. So anything else doesn't frighten me off at all. Okay? So, hey, frankly, Scarlett, that's the way things go. So that's nepotism at Coastal Bend College, and all of you fine folks up there that keep an eye on this show on YouTube and so forth, this show is dedicated to you. Okay? And I'm going to do everything I can to see if we can't change some minds up there and get it done. Here's my Public Information Act request to Coastal Bend College back in May 21st of 2014. They tried to pull some legal maneuvering around and stall me out on certain items and so forth, so they can prolong the pain and agony of me sitting around waiting to see those files. But number 6 here on my request, 6 out of 8 requests that I made, I specifically said that any Coastal Bend College official policies related to nepotism. So I was on it at that time. Okay. Now here's what I requested, just to educate the people up there that are watching in Coastal Bend, all you taxpayers. This ought to horrify you. Okay. All right, my request was through the Texas Public Information Act, the Government Code, Chapter 552. And number 1, I said, I want the job advertisements published by Coastal Bend for the current president, her application files, her personnel files containing performance appraisals, and her contracts of employment. Okay? They did redact some of that information. Redact means that they can withhold social security numbers, telephone numbers, addresses, and so forth, and private information, which doesn't bother me at all. Okay? Number 2, the job advertisements published by Coastal Bend College for the current Dean of Workforce Training, her application files, her personnel files containing performance appraisals, and her contracts of employment. Okay, I got pictures of most of that. Okay, the job advertisements published by Coastal Bend College for 3 specific employees, and I named them. I'm not going to put them on the air. Okay, their application files, their personnel files containing performance appraisals, and their contracts of employment. Now, those 3 in particular, folks, were ones that I had ferreted out the information that probably had sources of income from other places, as did that director of nursing up there. Okay, and to fire her for doing her job and maintaining her certificate is, I think, a crime. Okay, it's a travesty. Okay, the filing of any lawsuits by any employee, including faculty, against Coastal Bend College and/or employees, or an employee, and/or Board of Trustees members during the past 5 years. Now, I was told there were none, but I have inside information that maybe there were some suits there. So I haven't given up with ferreting out this information, and if Coastal Bend withheld stuff that they should not have, then I'm going to go ahead and file the appropriate grievances and suits on Coastal Bend for that. I'll put you on record up there, because I know you watch this show, so does Del Mar College, and all of our regents and trustees and administrators down here, and which is good. I'm glad that every time it goes on YouTube, there are instantly 25 to 30 people that are signaled to watch. Number 5, any Coastal Bend College official policies related to full-time employees, including faculty, having additional jobs outside of the college. Okay? I've got those, whatever they gave me on that one, I've got that one photographed and it's on a CD. And then I've read number 6, any Coastal Bend College official policies related to nepotism, and they've got an official position, but then I was told that doesn't really make any difference. You know, they really don't have any nepotism laws. Well, I don't care what Coastal Bend does, folks, but the taxpayers of the state of Texas have every right to expect that nepotism laws for the state of Texas will hold up even in Beeville, Texas. Okay? Any correspondence between Dr. Beatrice T. Espinosa and any member of the Coastal Bend College Board of Trustees in reference to the firing of Dr. Eloisa Garcia, Director of Nursing, on March 26, 2014, and some of those emails, folks, will make your hair curl. Okay, it was a kangaroo court. That's the best I can say. The results of the latest review of Coastal Bend College by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. I am sending a copy of this request for investigation to that organization. Its acronym is SACS. It's the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, which accredits Coastal Bend College, Del Mar College, and a lot of them here in the South and Southeast. So let's just see if I can grab somebody's attention and have them come in and say, "Whoa, wait a minute," and then say there was this great big hoopla that this president came in and she was able to get the SACS review done. Okay, now the SACS review is a tough. It can be a very tough thing to do. It takes a lot of time and money and effort by administrators, faculty members, and other employees to take care of that, folks. But I can't convince a lot of these people, particularly some taxpayers and some key politicians around here, that SACS isn't going to fail anybody. You know, they make their money and they make a good living as an organization, and it costs the schools and stuff a bit of money to apply for that accreditation and get it. So why would they want to cut off their nose to spite their face and not get the money by going ahead and throwing somebody out and revoking their accreditation? I mean, if taxpayers aren't any smarter than that, and I have my doubts at times, what can I say? And then I won't get into the Texas Board of Nursing. I've also sent a copy of my request to the Texas Board of Nursing, because they need to know that this whole brouhaha with that Director of Nursing has damaged the ability of nursing students up there at Coastal Bend College to obtain the very top-notch position in life, okay, and have a real strong degree and credentials. All right, and then that brings me to my employer, which is Del Mar College, Corpus Christi, Texas. Now, I've similarly, at the same time, the board and the administration of Del Mar College decided to take another PhD nurse. I don't know why the last couple of years have been so severe on PhD nursing professors, but it's taken its toll, it looks like. But we had an instance where one of the faculty members here at Del Mar College, who I've known for at least 13 years and have a lot of respect for, and her ability to teach nursing at any level. And with a PhD in nursing, folks, I mean, what can you say? That's about as well prepared as you can be. And I've seen some that can't teach with one, but the vast majority of them can. Okay. Now, here was my problem. We had a department of nursing with some of the members of that department. I don't know if it was jealousy. I don't know if it was prejudice. I don't know what the reason was. Went after this PhD nurse because 3 students were involved, and she flunked three nursing students up here for not being prepared for their clinical activities. Okay, which I'm glad that people will do that. I don't pass people through my class, folks, unless they know what they're doing, because the vast majority of mine are going into either the allied health professions or into the professional schools, dental school, med school, vet school, and so forth, and pharmacy, physician's assistant. So I'm not going to pass people unless they work and they know what they're doing, because I'm not going to lose a person that is not capable of cutting it academically or in a lab setting and go out and hurt people. Okay? I'm just not going to do that. So what happened with that is we had the woman was essentially fired, and I did go to the Texas Board of Nursing with the Public Information Act, because we were told that the reason that the nursing professor was fired is because during a nursing peer review committee meeting, 3 students stood up and said that she had done thus and so, and it was confirmed that they were out running around the neighborhood disparaging the good name of that particular professor in retaliation for them not working and doing a good job and passing that class. Okay? So they protested, and then as soon as the thing got hot enough, then the nurse went ahead and filed a slander suit on the 3 students to try to shut them up, which I think was her legal right to do so. And then the college stated through their attorneys that no, you couldn't do that, that constituted illegal acts, therefore we can terminate the nurse based on her trying to protect her reputation by filing slander suits against the students. Okay? Now, at the time, I found out through the grapevine, so to speak, that there was a great possibility that a formal nursing peer review committee system and documents were not on file with the Texas Board of Nursing, and they weren't updated in the Del Mar College files. So through Public Information Act request, I requested a copy of that through Texas Board of Nursing. They said that they couldn't find one because they couldn't find it electronically. Now all they had to do was go back into the files, so prior to putting everything on a computer, you mean to tell me, Board of Nursing, that all those files that are in file boxes and file cabinets up there could not be searched? You know, I hope I don't look to be that stupid. Okay, maybe I do. I'm going to have to go preview this film and see if I really do, you know, have moron and neon running across my forehead or whatever. Okay. Now, in addition to that, the Board of Nursing couldn't cough it up, and the copy that I did get from Del Mar College just said the fall of a certain year. Now they're supposed to be dated, and since the Board of Nursing couldn't create and put that same paperwork out to me, then I highly suspect, even to this day, that that document and that system was not legal and did not exist, and therefore the basis upon which the students complained and then filed, and Del Mar College attempted termination of that faculty member, then I don't think that was real legal. And as a taxpayer, it burns me up. So, you know, I'm sick and tired of students concocting all this wild and woolly stuff. They go around and they slander professors. I had that happen in my class on 2 occasions, 2 different individuals this semester. I'm sick and tired of it. I want them to put their PhD in biochemistry and a second major in micro beside mine, and then we'll sit there with a sophomore class and we'll discuss who knows what about what, okay? But I'm sick and tired of it where students think that they're far superior to faculty members, and that faculty members don't know what the hell they're talking about, don't know what they're doing. And I'm not kissing anybody's backside as a student. Now, in addition to all that mess, and that one ain't over yet, okay? I'm still trying to get that copy of that information from the Board of Nursing. I guess I'm going to have to jingle their chain one more time and ask them to go through all the hard copies of pre-electronic record keeping up there. It just astounds me, folks, you know, and I'm sure some damn attorney's sitting up there saying, well, let's just throw this at him. And then it's just like, you know, when a friend of mine, very good friend, just happens to be the husband of the nursing professor. He's a bachelor's degree accountant, master's in accounting, CPA for 30 years, knows what he's doing, worked with some of the very largest corporations and companies in the country, knows accounting backwards and forwards, is a true expert in that. And we asked for some information, and Del Mar College sent back and said that information is going to cost you $26,700,000 for us to produce it. It's going to take us 120 years to pull all those records and make 105 million plus copies of things and have to redact those. So it's going to cost you $26.7 million to get that information. Now, folks, that's information that you paid for, okay? And that was the most insane thing I've ever seen. Now, it was asked then for the copies of all of the internal emails, letters, and so forth that were involved in whoever triggered the outlandish request and statement that it's going to cost $26.7 million. And now we've got all this legalese going on back and forth that, well, that's attorney-client privilege and all this good stuff. Now, I ask you folks, I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to pose this to you as a taxpayer. Don't try to think of it as in the context of being a very high-paid attorney trying to protect Del Mar College or Coastal Bend College from all this stuff that's going on. Okay. Now, who pays the freight at Del Mar College? Okay. Let's just start there. It's taxpayers. Okay. You pay the lion's share of that. Now, they say they charge students tuition. Tuition doesn't even cover the power bills, folks, and doesn't even put a dent in it. So what you're doing is as a taxpayer, let's say for Del Mar College, I'm sitting here as a property owner obliged to pay so many dollars per year to support that institution. And the administrative bloat over there has been horrendous over the last 10 or 15 years. And I'll discuss that next show. Now, then what we have is, so who contributes all that money? Then the state kicks in and the feds, and that's all taxpayer money. Okay? Now, then if you're a taxpayer, then I think that the administration is working for you. That's the way I consider it. And all I consider the administration as being capable of doing, and their only function is to provide me with what I need as a faculty member to teach the students. Okay, that's the whole bottom line basis for these community college and universities and so forth that are taxpayer supported. Okay? So I'm the boss over there, if you really want to know the bottom line truth. And I elect certain board of regents members over there to take care of interest and hire a president and an administration that will provide faculty members with what they need to present the coursework and the information for the students. And that's the bottom line, folks. I mean, it's no more complicated than that. Now, since the money that is paid to these attorneys to try to protect the administrators over there in their quest to bamboozle the public, then I see a real problem with that. Okay? I'm paying the freight, I'm paying that, I'm paying the attorneys, it's coming out of my pocket, not the administrators' pockets. Okay? So why is there an attorney-client privilege when I am the client and I've hired these attorneys to go and do that? Now, nobody consults with me when they hire an attorney to try to bamboozle me and try to withhold public information from me, and it costs a fortune, folks. Okay? So can you see the catch-22? Joseph Heller was a genius, folks, with the catch-22. If you've never read that book, you need to go buy a copy and hibernate for a day and sit down and read that one. It's a real eye-opener. So all I see at Del Mar College is a catch-22. I'm paying for attorneys to protect administrators that have screwed up, okay? And then they're saying that I can't get that information because that administrator who's trying to cover his butt over there, or her butt, is paying off the attorneys with my money, and then saying I can't get the information because it's attorney-client privilege. So I find a real that's a real problem for me to try to digest, folks. That's a real tough pill for me to swallow. Okay? I can't believe it. But you get over it. Then I requested some stuff back in August of 2013. I was provided with that, about a 5-foot stack of paper, and then I was looking for the bad debt write-offs that the Del Mar College administrators were pulling off. There was a screw-up in changing accounting procedures, I think, or programs or whatever in 2010, which probably led to a bunch of this. But anytime the books don't balance over there at Del Mar College, then what we do is we just write off a whole bunch of stuff. Okay? Well, I found this one page which horrified me, and it has some write-offs, and it totaled $185,750.64. Okay? Now, in that, there was a write-off for a debt that was owed to Del Mar College by Texas A&M University, Kingsville. Okay? And the amount was $54,267.29. Now, I have been trying to, along with the CPA friend of mine, to get an explanation out of Del Mar College and or Texas A&M, and we haven't got one yet. And this has been going on for quite some time. Okay? So we're going to keep asking for that. And the last I heard, the CFO at Del Mar had called the CFO, or whatever they call it, down at Kingsville, and they worked it out internally, so they're not going to say anything about it. But I'm going to get to the bottom of that, folks, and find out why. Why does the Coastal Bend Council of Governments, why did they owe Del Mar College $89,000 and some odd dollars, and that was written off as a bad debt? And then we found out recently there's another, appears to be another $79,000 with the same organization. Now, I did call the Coastal Bend Council of Governments, asked them if they were taxpayers supported, and they said unequivocally no. So I guess this weekend, and before I have to go back to classes in January, I'm going to go ahead and file a investigation through the Attorney General's office and the Auditor's office to find out what all that crap's about. And then why would the Navy, we just stumbled upon one of them the other day, then why does the U.S. Navy owe Del Mar College $42,000 some odd dollars, and the Del Mar College wrote it off? I've got that in black and white, folks. Got a photograph of it. Okay? And then there are a whole bunch of others. Now let me enlighten you as to how much money has been written off over the past several years. I've got it right here somewhere. I've got the short version. Here it is. Okay. Now, amount of accounts receivable written off as uncollectible. Now, you've got to try to collect, folks. You write people a letter, send it certified return receipt. When I asked for a bunch of stuff and got it last August back in 2013, there wasn't a single letter that went out. All they did was threaten a few students and say, you know, pay this up, or we're not going to give you your transcripts ever. There was no certified return receipt. There was nothing filed with the JP court for collection or anything else. Okay, but let me give you the amounts. And I was told in a meeting, a public meeting at Del Mar College, that, oh, we do everything we can to collect these bad debts. Well, no you don't. Your nose is growing over there, all of you that said that. All right, now, 2007. Here's what the write-off was as uncollectible. $67,190. Okay? 2008. Now this one floors me. $1,444,407. Are you listening out there, taxpayers? This is your money, folks. Okay? Just written off. That's it. Okay? Because you won't write a stinking letter and go collect it. Okay, 2009, $125,256. 2010, this was a lean year, $26,925. Then we've got 2011 as $195,895. 2012 is $487,922. 2013, $243,148, and then here it is. We're not quite through with 2014, but it's up to $247,584. So the total from 2007 to 2014 thus far is $2,838,327. Okay. And what are we going to do now with a $157 million bond that they're going to go over there and, you know, get their cronies over there and their contractors and stuff to take care of all that. Okay. So I don't know what to tell you. And then with the books that screwed up, then this one tickled me, and I'll leave it at this. Okay. It says, and this was in the September 29th newspaper, there is a picture under college notes. This must have been on a Monday. Yep, it's a Monday. Okay. The Del Mar College Vikings Alumni Association will host the blue and silver. That wasn't it. Okay. Oh, there's a picture here of 5 people. It's the president, the public relations person, then we've got 2 people out of the business department, and then we've got the esteemed president of the Board of Regents, the chairman, Mr. Trey McCampbell, who claims to be an accountant, and he's sitting there watching all this go around him. He's a banker, okay? And he hadn't figured out how to ask for the same thing that my CPA buddy did, and I guess he didn't want his front teeth to fall out. But it says here that the Del Mar College Fiscal Services staff were recognized during the September 9th Board of Regents meeting for their work on the comprehensive annual financial report, the annual financial report, and the distinguished budget. And it says pictured here. So they were awarded something from one of these agencies that they pay money for, and that's all they do. They get these certificates so they can get their pictures published in the Caller Times saying how great they are. Okay? So anyway, Coastal Bend College employees, faculty members, and so forth and so on, I'm trying for you folks. I'll talk to you. You know how to get a hold of me. It's gsansing, S-A-N-S-I-N-G, @gmail.com. Most of you know how to get a hold of me. So keep up the good work up there, and maybe we can straighten that mess you call it, administration out up there. I'm going to go around, and I can't believe I've had this much fun, and turn the camera off and then come back with the banner and a few statements. Anyway, be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I've got about 40 seconds. Rather than put the banner back up, you all know my Gmail address. It's gsansing@gmail.com, and you can view this on public access around here as well as YouTube. But this is what I'm going to be doing over my Christmas break. We had this great administration hired a custodial service who can't clean up diddly, And I'm going to have to go over and scrub my lab floor. I can't afford to have them in there. And then just out of curiosity, the former employee at Del Mar College that was instrumental in hiring that custodial services is running around the wilds of Colorado bragging about being a representative nationwide for that company. So you can figure that one out. I'll report on that a little bit later. Anyway, good night. See you later. Bye-bye.